Yeah, I think you're right. I think vlogging on the phone is actually working a lot better than vlogging on a crappy webcam on a laptop. Yeah, I recently got a Chewy laptop, which is a very fast, nice Celeron machine, and I upgraded it with an SSD, one of these M2 SSDs, and I've got 2000 yeah, what is it? 2015 MacBook. Well, I have a MacBook Pro, and it's one of the last MacBooks that has an optical drive, and it has an i5 processor and a 500 gigabyte regular drive, and it's just dead slow. And the machine itself isn't so slow, but the hard drive is. And in this video I plan on upgrading the hard drive to an SSD and make it as painless as possible. Not much sound today. These are supposed to become beans. The panel is nice, but not very edible. Yeah, so this satchel holds my old MacBook. Let's take it out. So here it is. I'm actually quite fond of this MacBook because it's a MacBook Pro. It's one of the last slot loading. It is one of the last slot loading DVD Macs, and it's the 13-inch one, and it boots up very, very slowly. I'm just going to connect power to it with the mag slot. Yeah, these older Macs, they have this very nice mag slot thing, power slot, which is actually missing from the newer Macs. They just have a USB-C connector. But yeah, look at the time that it takes this Mac to actually boot. It sports a 500 gigabyte hard drive, a regular hard drive, and I plan to put in this. This was on sale. It was on sale for 80% of the regular price on alternate. So I just thought I'd get this. This is supposed to work very well on the MacBook. And what I have to do is I will be using this, which is a, whoops, it's a bit dusty, which is a docking station, USB docking station. I will initialize and format. It's still booting. Ah, there it is. I can log in. So it took quite some time, but I'm going to take out the SSD. I'm going to put it in this dock, and I'll initialize it. And I'll use some software to actually clone this drive to that drive, so that I can install it in the PC and it's able to boot from it. So yeah, let's log into this system, and I'll show you a bit of the properties of this system, because I think it's a nice and chunky but also quite old Mac, and I'll show you the specs in a bit. Okay, so I managed to, let's turn on the mighty mouse. Okay, so I managed to get my mouse working. So as you can see, the time it takes for my Mac to respond to certain, it takes seconds. So it's a 2.5 gigahertz core, Intel Core i5. It's a 2012 MacBook Pro 13-inch. Has 8 gigabytes of DDR3 RAM, built-in Intel graphics, and storage is a 500 gigabyte serial ATA drive. Well, I'm going to hook up the 850 EVO, which is known to work with this. So yeah, let's get a move on. Okay, so this serial ATA thing I've hooked up. And let's insert the flash drive. And let's turn it on. Now, I think I need to start disk utility. Initialize. So with disk utility, you just initialize not the Macintosh HD, but this one. Uninitialize, and so you do erase. You don't change any of the settings, just click erase, and it'll just prepare the drive. It takes a bit. You can actually have details. You can see what it will do. But basically, what you do is you tell the Mac that it decide later. I don't want to have it as a backup drive. Now what I want to do is, it shows up untitled, to launch a utility that's called SuperDuper, and I've downloaded it. And I think I need to install it. It's free, but it allows you to clone this drive to this drive. So yeah, I'm gonna drag this to applications. The joys of Mac OS. SuperDuper. It's over there. Open and eject this one. Eject SuperDuper. So SuperDuper is still loading. This computer is very slow. Okay, so copy Macintosh AD. It's the same. To the untitled disk, backup all files, and copy now. Okay, I have to put in my password. Put in my password. So it's erasing it and it's copying files. So basically this is going to take quite a fair bit, and we'll just let it sit until it has copied. Decide later, so it just erased it again and now it's copying files. So it's probably going to take, I'm not sure if it says. Oh well, we'll just see how it goes. So this actually is making a proper clone of this by this, using this effective copy. Yeah, this is going to take a while, so I'll be back later on. Now I need to get a small Phillips, Phillips screwdriver to remove the back plate, because that gives access to the SD, to the hard drive. So yeah, let's go find a small screwdriver, because they're really small screws in the. And with SuperDuper, you just clone the Macintosh HD to the new one, and it just copies all files. And what it does after the successful copy, that it actually does the bindings correctly and makes the disk bootable, so you can actually put that in there. But it's still taking quite a fair bit. It's been going for about 38 minutes, so probably 38 more at least, 60 probably. It's merrily copying. Whoa, blue LEDs. It's sure taking its time. 1:37. Yeah, watching some Tech Moan in the meantime. Okay, so it just finished copying after 2 hours and 19 minutes. I guess that's what USB 2 does for you, but yeah. And it's now updating all the bindings because the files on the Mac file system all have different attributes, and which makes them executable or gives them a certain access, grants them certain access, and then at the end it'll make the device bootable. I'll be back. Oh, it wants to register later. Oh, later, but it did make the device bootable. So it did that in 2 hours and 20 minutes. Okay. So this has turned into a bootable system. So I'm going to eject this, and I'm going to open up my Mac and put it in, and hopefully it'll boot from it. Yeah, there's 11 screws or 10 screws. 10 screws to unscrew. 4 on this side, 4 on the other side, and 2 over there. So let's do that with a very small Phillips head screwdriver. So, taken out all the 4 screws, and I've actually placed them in the order in which they came out, and as you can see, they're not all of the same length, the same size. Interesting. And the back plate is easily removed when you put your nail near the hinge and you just lift it off, and it'll expose the innards of the MacBook. So yeah, let's take off the cover and see what's inside. And the cover lifted off quite easily by just putting a nail underneath here and just lifting it up. So this is the optical drive, this is the air vent, this is actually the RAM and the battery that I replaced. And this actually is the hard drive, and you lift it up by pulling on this tab, but you have to be very careful because there's this ribbon cable that actually connects to the rest of the board, and it's very fragile. So if you lift it up, be very careful not to destroy the ribbon cable. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, so actually this part needs to be taken off. This is actually what holds it in place, and then I'll be able to lift out the Mac. And there's some stuff attached to the drive itself that makes it slide in. So I'm going to remove these 2 screws and then just lift off this part, and I'll be able to take out the drive. So I've taken out the part, and you can actually see that there's bits on the drive that are actually held in place by these 2 notches, and you can actually lift the drive straight out, and there's a ribbon cable attached to it, and you remove it, you unscrew those. I'll show it. This is the ribbon cable. It sits flat, and yeah, I was very careful in removing this. And on the drive there's actually these notches that I need to take out with a 6 torque screwdriver, and on the other side as well. I think I'll put the sticker on the same position on the SSD. This is actually a lot heavier than this, so I'll unscrew these things, put everything on the other drive, and put it back. So yeah. What's also needed is one of these devices. Not sure if you can see it, but it's one of these torque screw heads to just undo these and put the other ones back. So I'm just gonna use that as well. So a Phillips, a very small Phillips, and that one is needed. So yeah. Okay, so I've attached all these little notches, attached the bit of tape, and it's going to go in there. So I'm just going to attach that ribbon cable and just slide it back in, screw that back. I'll be back in a sec. Attach the ribbon cable with the serial auto. I slide it in and just let it sit. And I'm just going to screw that back and proceed to close up the case. All the screws are back in place. The hard drive is in situ, and I'm just going to flip it over, hook it up to the power, and see what it does. Yeah, maddening. So mouse is turned on. Let's power on the Mac. Let's see what it does. And I think the first time it will boot, it will probably be booting perhaps a bit slower. It did make it bootable, the utility, so don't go crazy on me without displaying anything on screen. May have bought a dot or something. Perhaps I should, there it is. So the progress bar actually goes a lot faster. I guess there was some detection going on. So first boot probably is a lot slower. I'll boot it again. Oh, it definitely is a lot faster, I guess. I'm just going to put in my password and we'll see how fast it responds. Okay, well, put in my password and for some reason it just doesn't want to recognize my mouse. Yeah. Okay, so I don't want to have that named get info. I want to have that Macintosh HD. Untitled work becomes Macintosh HD. Okay, so it says Macintosh HD. And let's go to the About computer, about this Mac. Yeah, it took 20 seconds before, and now it's just pretty much instantly. Let's see if I open up Safari. Yeah, that just boots instantly. Let's boot up Chrome. Oh yeah, YouTube. Oh man, it's so much faster. It feels like a new system. So yeah, I'm pretty stoked. Let's see. Yeah, it really is very responsive. Let's see. Applications, Microsoft Word. Let me see. Microsoft Word. It bounces around for a while. Yep, but it's there. Blank document. Boom. Yep, the wonderful world of whatchamacallit, online stuff. So by changing the drive, I really had to activate Microsoft Office again, which actually is quite weird. But yeah, it seems that everything is really quite snappy, and very happy with the way everything works. So this basically turned into a new system, and let's reboot. Let's see how fast it'll boot the second time, because the first time it probably needs to do something in the BIOS, the EFI BIOS. So the chime does seem to take a wee bit for it to recognize the drive. This pause wasn't there. With the other drive, you'd have the Apple logo and the progress bar far longer, but It takes longer for the Apple logo to appear, but then the process bar is actually moving along a lot faster. But yeah, I mean it is faster. It's quite significantly faster. So I'm pretty stoked. Yeah. So yeah, I can honestly say that putting in an SSD instead of one of these older drives for quite a few systems actually works quite well. I've done it with my desktop PCs. Booting from SSD is actually amazing. It makes the system a lot more responsive. I even did it with an old Pacbilly laptop with 4 GB of RAM, a Core 2 Duo, and it sported a, what is it, a 160 GB hard drive, 5400 RPM. I put in a Kingston 128K or 128 GB hard drive. I cloned it, but that didn't work, so I reinstalled the same Windows 10 from a thumbstick, which is cool because then you don't have to activate it, because Windows or Microsoft knows that this hardware configuration actually has a license key signed to it, so it's actually activated the moment you reinstall Windows. I think that's actually quite good that Microsoft does that. Probably will only work in the here and now with a license key, but then again, I mean, Windows 10 is pretty much functional 100%, even if you don't have a license. So if you just use a system for gaming and you don't want to pay for a license, and you know you're not online that much, and you don't, yeah. So I mean, it is possible to have a Windows gaming PC. It's not the safest thing in the world without activating the Windows thing, because the Windows will just continue to operate. But yeah, I mean, is it worth it? Yes, it's worth investigating if a SSD replacement actually is a sensible thing to do. For quite a few older machines, like, well, 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 years old, may actually benefit quite tremendously from more RAM and an SSD hard drive upgrade. And it's very easy to do, even with a Mac. And yeah, with the cloning software, super duper, it worked quite well. And it's basically turned into a very responsive system, whereas it just slowed down with each Mac OS update. I mean, I think it started out with Leopard or something, but after Leopard, it just went downhill. It became slower and slower and slower and slower. And even the About box about this Mac, it took up to 20 seconds for it to appear on the old hard drive. This is actually the old hard drive, and it's I'm not sure. I don't know the name. It's HGST. It's a Japanese hard drive. The thing is, it's a Japanese hard drive, but it actually is produced in the Netherlands. It says here, it's the Marie Curie-weg 20, Roermond, Limburg, in the Netherlands. Quite interesting. Didn't know that these 2.5-inch disk drives were actually produced in the Netherlands, but they are. And this is a 5400 RPM hard drive, the same as the old hard drive in Elise's notebook. Yeah, so I have like a ton of these now. And yeah, in the Netherlands, quite a few online resellers actually had very good prices on hard drives. Actually, I bought 2 others. I think the 500 gigabyte hard drive, I paid 149 euros for it, which is actually quite good. And I got 2 others because Elise, her desktop, her Dell, still uses a single SSD. Oh my god. Ah, okay. Yeah. I almost thought they made a mistake because the other ones, I bought two others, Samsung 250 gigabyte ones, and those were 90 euros each, so a pretty good deal. So these will go into, one will go into Elise's machine and another one will go into another old laptop I have. Yeah, it really makes for a very speedy and fast system. I quite like it, actually. So, okay, Mark signing off, and I'll be back with another video soon. Bye!